To police officers, how are you feeling seeing how the situation was handled in Texas? Military police here, I'm angry beyond words at the tragedy that has taken place. MP training is direct a threat, and even without hearing gunshots we are required to breach the building and begin securing it, so if people are shot inside we can create a clear corridor for casualties to be collected and treated. These cowardly pieces of shit should turn in their badges and be held accountable for their inaction. I literally never comment on anything but felt like I should here. I've only been on the job for a year and change in the largest department in America, and while we are definitely not perfect, I've been to a few shootings personally, and even with shots ringing out within visual range I've never seen any one of my coworkers run away or just wait for resu cause they could get shot, and I know I've never ran away. While I can understand being afraid, I can't understand not doing your job. We are first responders, and as such it's our job to go in there and get it done. Backup be damned. I hate Monday night quarterbacking, but I've risked my life on this job for way less, so when other officers wait idle while kids get gunned down it makes me mad. Retired Leo, the words disbelief and disgusted hardly scratch the surface. Charge all of them with negligent homicide / involuntary manslaughter. To add to the points the others are making, imagine the effect on the children's parents. They already have the horror of their child being killed, knowing that their last moments were filled with terror and pain, but that's now compounded by the thought that their child could have been saved if it were not for the cowardice of the people they trusted to protect them. These poor souls are now broken. Ashamed of this agency and their so-called chief. If the shooter is isolated, you wait because time is on your side to negotiate. If they are actively shooting people, action must be taken. Just because the SCOTUS says there's no duty to intervene, I think most lay agencies' policy, and, obviously, public opinion beg to differ. We should all be ashamed of the SCOTUS that would rule that police have no duty to intervene or to protect the public. Kind of disgusted by all of the attempts at covering up what those officers did as well. The only reason the truth is being aired now is that A, there are videos and testimonies that directly contradict the cops' statements, and B, the FBI is now involved, and if you lie to them no type exemption can / will protect you. As an active police officer of 22 years, I would have died trying to prevent even one additional child from being harmed. I could not live with myself knowing that I stood outside while children were dying inside. Words cannot describe my disgust for what has happened there. My heart aches for both the deceased and their loved ones. I hope they fire everyone who did nothing, and the judge tosses any criminal charges against parents. Just typing this and saying it out loud has gotten me all fired up again. In Britain, there was an attacker with a machete on London Bridge, and our unarmed police officers ran towards him with only pepper spray and batons, literally hitty sticks. In fact, one was an off-duty transport police officer with no gear at all. I can't fathom the slowness of the response in Texas. Disgusted. My department had an all-cops run-in strategy ready to go. We even had an airport stairs on a pickup truck to drive to the side of the school if it was a hostage situation on the second floor. We coordinated with firefighters to have multiple cops on the platform on top of the ladder on the fire trucks, and the fire trucks would drive us up to the sides of the school and the cops would make entry through the windows. We practiced breaking down the doors and also practiced breaking through the drywall and studs if the door was barricaded. We were told any cop who didn't go into a school shooting situation, unless told by the chief otherwise, would be fired. We were also told that if we kneeled on any suspect we would be fired, and the chief would recommend to the DA to charge us and would give the evidence themselves. This was also well before BLM. When I see shitty cops clowning around I'm pissed. That's why cops all over have bad names. It's because of clowns like these. I was a police officer back in the early .00s for a little over 7 years, and my dad is a retired, lifelong military and civilian police officer. We were talking about this situation earlier today, and we both agreed that rushing into that situation may have been our last actions as living humans, but we'd have done it. My dad said better to die trying than to live, being branded a coward, and thinking what if. That whole protect part of protect and serve is an absolute in a situation where 7 and 8-year-old kids are being shot and them hanging around outside is unforgivable. I firmly believe that every officer that busied themselves chasing parents should, at a minimum, be fired and nationally blacklisted from ever being in law enforcement for life. Same for their chief. Edit 1. I use the whole protect and serve motto as an example of what they should be doing. Edit 2. I know there's not a blacklist for bad cops, but I wish there was. It's like Parkland, Florida all over again. Someone with a badge and gun heard shots and did absolutely nothing. Cowards. This is even worse though. Parkland was one coward. This was an entire group of cowards who sat around doing fuck all while kids were being actively murdered and bleeding out on the other side of the wall. I'm really upset. I'm so heartbroken for the families. My agency trains us to take immediate action to save lives and stop the threat. Our training and gear reflect that. There is no time for tactical teams. Absolutely zero chance I give less than everything. This department has now created a situation where parents will show up to a future incident armed and not likely to take direction from officers on the scene. Cue next year's story where a parent gets shot by the police in a mix-up. Disgusted. Angry. I was a cop from 2012, 2019, and did multiple active shooter training at schools. Responded to a mass shooting at a block party and we ran in. We knew the risk when we signed up for the job. This was a nightmare scenario that they fucked up so badly. Pretty fucking angry. I'm retired now, but taught active shooter response for over 10 years. Uvalde ISD chief should resign and turn in his credentials and get a job digging ditches. Thank goodness Bortak took the initiative, even if they waited and listened to Ariando for 30 minutes. I feel appalled and embarrassed for the Uvalde police's response or lack thereof. What bunch of pathetic human scum would willingly neglect their oath and duty to serve and to protect equals Uvalde police. Imagine if nurses and doctors refused to attend to patients with COVID for fear of contracting the disease. I'm glad our hospital teams are braver than Uvalde's police. Now, waiting for a bullet is deadlier than COVID rebuttal. But you get the point. Seething. I was already pretty pissed when I found out about it, but finding out the cops went in to save their kids and they proceeded to let the shooter run around for an hour because they quote, were scared they'd get shot has ticked me the fuck off. I hope every single of them is fired, but knowing Texas they won't get their just desserts. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes, but I don't deserve them lol. I'm not a police officer, I'm just a dumbass who didn't see the part where Op was asking for police officers' opinions on this situation. So, my uncle is a policeman, and he said that the second they heard a shoot from the inside they were obligated to go in. Edit. So, obligation doesn't instantly mean they were by law required to do so. More of a moral obligation. Sorry for that confusion. My city had a mass shooting where 10 people died 3 years ago. It took 6 responding officers 32 seconds to kill the active shooter. My coworker is a relative of one of the officers who responded that night. She told us that he thinks these cops deserve to burn in hell for abandoning those children. The end. Thanks for watching.